Q&A time. Q&A time. It's Q&A time. Someone cue the intro because this is really awkward. Go. I brought my lappy toppy. I have all of your questions written down, which first of all, thank you so much for even taking the time and write these things down, because how sweet and kind and generous of you. Seriously, thank you. So let's begin. I am doing amazing. Appreciate you asking. I love this time of year. The holidays are always awesome, and I love dressing up like Eloise at the plaza. Case in point. And we just got the master for the first song next year, this week. That's fun. I love it. I'm very excited about the songs next year. Next question. This is gonna sound very cliche, but I knew I wanted to do music ever since I can remember. Like, I never had, even as a little girl, I never wanted to do anything else. And I don't know where that came from, if I was watching it on TV or what, but like that was my thing. I always wanted to do that. I was performing all the time, singing all the time. And so my entire life was just sort of a series of events or like boot camp to get to do what I'm doing now. Like with piano, with theater, all of that. It was like all just a series of trainings for what I do, what I am lucky enough to get to do today. Like my biggest advice, if you're just starting out to write music, would be to try and find random beats on YouTube. Like you would literally type into YouTube search, Taylor Swift style beat. And there's a lot of producers out there who produce beats without any melodies or lyrics in them, and then put them on the internet so people can write songs to and potentially even use that, production, that beat. And so if you are starting out with writing music and trying to figure out what's the best way to go about it, try find a beat or instrumental on YouTube and literally just improvise over it. Try and like literally just like sing random melodies over. That's the best way to do it based on whatever the production's doing. And it's a fun thing to do, and there's no wrong or right. You can literally do whatever sounds best to you. Not to anyone else, but to you. Not sure if that answered your question. If it didn't, please comment below and I'll respond. When I wrote my first song, we had just moved here to the States. I think it was like around Christmas time, our first Christmas here in America. I was 14. And it was based on a burgundy red. I coincidentally am wearing this shade today. It's not the same lipstick, but it was from a burgundy red lipstick that my mom got me from Sephora that year. It was like my first like real girl, like grown up makeup. And it was like this deep red. And on the bottom it said the shade was burgundy red. And of course, me being a romantic even at 14 and just being obsessed with movies and visuals, I wrote a song. It was about burgundy red lipstick, and it basically copied the bass line of Hit the Road Jack. I was like, doom, 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 doom. I was like, her lips are burgundy red, the hair is curled. She steps into a whole new world, draw the smile on her face, leave the past behind. She lives in a fantasy, burgundy, doom, 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 burgundy. That's the song. Hit the Road Jack. I rewrote Hit the Road Jack at 14. Amazing. Mwah, love it. I am a like 90% time content creator. I do some online piano teaching, but it's great because I literally do it here from my bedroom. So I log off from Zoom and go right into music production. So it's good because it helps me like still like fund some of my music, especially now that I'm releasing songs every month. But it's convenient because I get to do it from here. I don't need to travel anything or spend time or money on commute. So that's very convenient. I'm very lucky that I can do that. Oh, I think the person that I think is the biggest or like most wholesome full definition of being an artist, I think, is Lady Gaga. She is incredible. She's an actress, singer, songwriter, a fashion icon, if you will. Like everything that she does is always all encompassing. She provides a 360-degree view of whatever she creates. If it's a song, it's always so tightly knit with the visuals, with acting, with the dance moves, with the outfits that she's wearing. She always creates an entire world and inhabits it. And the other thing that I admire about her so much is that she's so diverse, versatile. There's so much she can do. If you watch her Sound of Music medley at the Oscars, I mean, that's a completely different style that, I don't know, like the song that made her like just dance. So yeah, incroyable. J'adore Lady Gaga. There's a mix of like European brands and like more indie brands here. Like I love Hill House, Selkie, what's another one? Lisa Says Ga, Lazy Oaf, Sister Jane. Like Sister Jane has like all these like really adorable, cutesy dresses. Save up and like buy one piece every once in a while. I'd rather like invest in something that looks gorgeous and is made really well and I can wear for a very, very, very long time. Timeless pieces. I was born in May, on May 25th. It's funny, me and my mom both have May birthdays, and my dad and my brother both have February birthdays. So there's like 2 months in the year, only 2 months. So 1 month for the girls and 1 month for the boys to celebrate birthdays. And that's how it works. Well, here's the thing. 1930s in America had pretty much Great Depression and the Dust Bowl in the Midwest. Europe wasn't doing too hot either. You had uprising of Nazism and Hitler in Germany, so, you know, and then the invasion of Poland and Austria. And then you just kind of have World War II. So not my preferred decade, I would say. I would go for the 50s. The 50s, things started looking up a little bit. War had ended. That was this more general widespread optimism about the world. So yeah, let's go with the 50s. Also 50s fashion was just, it was everything. 1930s fashion was very reflective of sort of like the economic downturn of the era. So it was much more simple, much more subdued. Whereas in the 50s, there was more of an extravagance about it because of the rising prosperity. I think is the rose. I don't have like one particular reason why. I love how it smells. I love how it looks. I love that it's all seasonal in the sense that it comes in so many different shades, so many different colors and variations that it seems appropriate for every season. And there's just something so very romantic and nostalgic about it. And I am very nostalgic as a person. So yeah, there's just this air of nostalgia that roses give me in the smell and in visually how they look. Maybe it's just because of pop culture association and how it's represented in films and photography. But yeah, the rose. I would want to go to the future for really 2 reasons. One is the past is documented. We know what happened, and I love exploring new things. But also I feel like we're on the cusp of so many massive, technological innovations that will change our world in very fundamental ways, like AI and fusion, space travel. And I am just so curious about the future. I always feel like I was born too soon. I love everything technology. I'm so fascinated by it. I'm fascinated by space. So very interested in that. Like my favorite TV show ever is The Expanse. I think it's brilliant. And so yeah, future all the way. Love it. This is very random, but I think the deer, and again, I don't think about this often, to be totally honest. Like I don't go like, oh my God, I love deer. But just that's like the first thing I thought of now. I don't know, they're very svelte and elegant, but also strong. I kind of like that juxtaposition of something looking very elegant but being internally strong. Yeah, deer. Let's go for deer. I do not have any pets. The only pet I ever had were 2 fish when we were living in Slovenia. I was probably around, 6, 7? Because around that time, Slovenia was just accepted into the European Union. And I remember we had the 2 fish in this little bowl in the living room. And I took the bowl and I carried it in front of the TV and I was talking to the fish and I was like, look, fish, we are now in the European Union. Aren't you excited? But also, I kept wanting her to jump through hoops. I kept making hoops with my fingers, be like, come on, fish, jump. I wanted her to do things, but she just probably was very annoyed by me and hated being there. No pets ever since. Nope. I do Sims though. I have pets in The Sims. That seems like a good compromise for everyone. There wasn't one particular moment that I was like, oh, this is what I should do. But I was more thinking about it from a marketing perspective. Because I went back and sort of analyzed the types of releases that I'd done. And up to that point, I was doing, I did an EP during COVID, and then I did a bunch of single releases. And the strategy that I had up until that point was to create one single and then do an elaborate music video for that. But as I was promoting these songs, I realized that if I had a 2 or 3 month gap between every song release, the interest would really die down. It was hard to promote one song for 3 months and keep telling people to listen to that, because we are in such a fast-paced, fast turnaround society with because now everyone has the ability to create content from home, and so there's so much more of it out there that the shelf life of a single or even a video or whatever is much shorter, because in no time the next best thing comes on. And so just going off of that, I was like, you know what, why don't I try this year, so 2022, why don't I try releasing a song just once a month? Like, let's pick up the pace of song releases. Let's spend less money, less budget, less attention on the videos. Like, let's make them more visualizer style and focus all of our attention onto the actual music. And so then it kind of organically came, oh, if I'm doing one song per month, then let's just theme it after the calendar, after the months. And that's where I got the idea of naming all the songs after each month and sort of creating it like a documentary of a year, if you will. I just always like to wrap things in like a general vision and storyline. And if I was going to do a song per month for this year, I wanted there to be a reason for it, not just like random songs, but that cohesively they tell a larger story, almost as if you're releasing a full album, but only one song at a time. There's this very cool podcast called And the Writer Is, where they bring on a bunch of different songwriters and they talk about their process. And I was listening to the episode with Lin-Manuel Miranda, who is, incredible. He was talking about how it's very counterintuitive that artists or songwriters in particular, we need some sort of a constraint for our work, that it's a lot harder to be able to work or to be able to write something when you can write about anything. Creativity needs to be thematically delineated in order for you to do your best work. If I sit down and say, oh, now I can write about anything, let me write a song, it's so hard for me to try and come up with something because, well, there's literally everything you can talk about. But if I give myself thematic constraints and say, okay, this is what we're writing about, then it's so much easier to sort of encapsulate that feeling or experience or whatever it is that I choose. For this year, it was relatively easy because I gave myself the constraint of writing about each month. So the inspiration really was that month. I think June will always hold a very special place in my heart because that was the first song that I actually produced. So from January to May, the production was all Noah Taylor, really good friend, producer, mixer. We've been working together for years. And then in June, I knew that I wanted to use a melody from Felix Mendelssohn's A Midsummer Night's Dream. And I knew that I wanted the production to revolve around a very specific strings loop. And so we had a live strings musician, Yoed Nir, who lives in Israel, who was recording all the live strings this year. And I knew that if I wanted him to record on this, I needed to tell him very specifically what he needs to do. Noah, for us to sit down in a studio or like in his place and, produce it out together. So I was like, well, I guess I'm just gonna have to do it. So it was kind of born out of necessity. And so we had just moved to this house too. And I was here at this keyboard. And that was the first song that I produced. It was like early mid-April, and I remember it was already so hot here. I had all the windows open and I could hear the birds and cicadas singing in the hills around, and I was like, man, I'm really doing this. And it was fun. It was like sort of a sense of validation but also empowerment. In general, I hate not knowing how to do things. I love the feeling of being able to do something myself, and so I felt like for a long time I felt like production was like that missing puzzle piece that I didn't fully embrace yet, even though that's what I got my master's out of. So it's funny that I didn't get more serious about it sooner. But yeah, June holds a special place. The hardest song to produce was the December song. And there's a few reasons for this looking back now. One is that I had never produced or written a Christmas themed song before. So I had to really be very analytical when I was listening to other Christmas songs as to what made them sound Christmas. I had no idea in my head going into it what production elements or what instruments or what melodies needed to be used in order to make something sound Christmassy. So it took a lot of research, if you will. The other reason why I think it was hard is because I was trying to do sort of like a blend between like those very classic, nostalgic 1950s, 1960s Christmas songs, but then also make it sound like it was current and modern and pop. And so it took a lot of trial and error for that song. I had so many different versions of it, so many different like kick patterns or drum patterns, so many different directions that I was trying to take it until it all came together. And the easiest one was October. I remember when I first sat down to do this, and it was honestly accidentally. I recorded a piano track to record like a scratch demo vocal to that piano track before I started producing it, because I wanted to see what the voice was doing so that the production could help elevate it, not distract from it. And that piano pattern that I just randomly quickly played ended up being sort of like one of the main production elements, and it made it so easy to build things around it. And it was one of those songs that was done probably in 2-3 days of work. I did maybe like 4 hours of work every day, 4 or 5, depending on the day. But a lot of the times when I produce, I'll go back and like change things or remove things or just mess with it. Whereas with this one, it was just adding on top of things. Whatever I had created in that first day, it stayed from that first day. It stayed the same. I just added layers or copy and pasted it to different sections. But yeah, that one was really easy. It was like a puzzle where you could see what the puzzle photo was going to be before you start putting the puzzle together. The hardest song to record, I think August. August gave me a lot of trouble because I initially thought that I wanted it to be a single vocal take. So what that would mean is usually is like you'll do a bunch of takes for the verse and then pick the best takes out of that, and then a separate track for the pre-chorus, another one for a chorus, all of that. But with August, I don't know what made me think that it would be a good idea to have it all in one take. I wanted it to feel more live, almost like you're listening to a musical. And I spent a lot of time creating that one take, and then I was listening to it a few days later. I was like, nope, this sucks. I can do it way better. And then I went back and I re-recorded the entire lead vocal. That was the only song this year that I re-recorded an entire thing for, was the August song. So that was the hardest or the longest to finish. My favorite months or seasons. Well, May is my favorite month in and of itself, just because it's exciting. I love May. It's because it's my birthday, but I always associate it with this, like, the beginning of summer. Everything's blooming and it smells gorgeous, and it's such a romantic month in my head. I love May. It's my favorite month. My favorite season, summer, is I just come alive in summer. I don't know what it is, but maybe it's because I love spending time outside and just reading in the sun or in the shade and with the breeze. And I love the fact that it stays warm throughout the evening and you can stargaze and not be cold. Yeah, I just love summer. Everything about it. I feel like summer to me will always be the season of possibilities. And I don't know if that's from being a school kid and always knowing that you had no school over the summer. Maybe that's why we love summer. I have no idea the psychological reasons for it. But yeah, summer. Man, summer makes me miss it. One that was really fun are the little ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ah, ooh, in the December song, like little background vocals in the pre-chorus. Those were fun, mainly because I've never done anything like that before, and they reminded me so much. I had, when I was coming up with that idea, I was thinking of Mele Kalikimaka, that Christmas song. Mele Kalikimaka is a thing to say on a bright Hawaiian Christmas day. And if you, like, thing to say, that's like the same melody. They go, ah, ooh. It's like one of the harmonies does that. And so that little element just gave me such 1950s, 60s vibes. And I love doing it. Like I said, I've never done anything like it. I was like, it's so fun. Love it. I only play one instrument, and that is the piano. I'm a classically trained pianist. I started playing when I was 6, 7 in Slovenia. And I had just the best teacher ever. I had the same teacher for all 9 years. And I credit her for showing me the beauty and the emotion that you can share through music. And it's the reason why the piano, not the one in my room, but one we have in our living room, I've had it since I was 9, 10, and that's been my best friend. No other friendship has lasted longer than my friendship with that piano. And it's funny, even in high school, I would never eat lunch with my friends. I would always go to one of the practice rooms. Our school had a little conservatory, and they had little practice rooms with like an upright piano in each of them. And I would always get a practice room, and I would just stay there. I would either do my homework, but then I would also like play around on the piano. And it was my favorite time of the day. Always was spending time with a piano. So yeah, just that, piano forever. That is very much like asking a mother who her favorite child is. No, but I don't have any favorite songs of mine, not just from this year, but in general, because to me they're snapshots of my life. You know, they represent my mindset, my skills, my worldview at that time. You know, so how can I hate something that I was, or like how can I like something better than the other? You know, it's all me. And so it almost feels like a timeline of my life. Every song that I listen to, and they're always very intrinsically connected with whatever was going on in my life at the time, you know, especially with this year, because there's so many of them. Like, oh, in March we moved, and then in May I had like this birthday, went to Napa, like all those little things. And yeah, like to me it's like going back and going through my life. So I don't think I'll ever have a favorite song, because it's all just me. It's all just pieces of the puzzle that ends up being me. Now, this is a different question. So yes, there is one that I'm more proud of, that I'm like especially proud of, and that is the July song. Because I wrote all of the string, like I produced it, but I also like wrote all the string arrangements, and that was a huge thing for me. I had always wanted to do that. I'm very interested in and fascinated by film scoring in general. And so this year when I started incorporating strings into my songs, it definitely felt like there was this film musical element added to the songs, because I could create all of these string arrangements. And July was the first time that I really did like an elaborate string arrangement, and had so many ideas in my head. And it when I was playing it in my head before I had produced it, it was very daunting, because I was like, oh my God, how am I gonna do that? Do I even know how to do that? But I'm proud of that song because I stuck with it. I didn't like shy away at the time, or like cower under the size, the magnitude of the project that I was taking on. I was like, you know what? No, we're gonna keep going. And I kept sitting there, like trying things out. And I learned so much through that song about production, but also about strings arrangement, that, you know, I ended up then apply to all of the songs for the rest of the year, and continue to apply to next year's songs. So yeah, that one I was like, yes, I'm glad I did that. You know, I am a very, how would I say, like I'm a very joyful person. And part of that probably comes from the fact that I have this incredible opportunity, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to do music, to write and release music, which is what I've always dreamed of. And now that gets to be my job. It's what I get to do every day. And I don't consider needing, I never think of writing songs or doing this like as having motivation. It's like, there's nothing in the world I would love to do more than to do that. So it doesn't feel like something I have to do or a job. It feels like I'm soundtracking my life, because that's the best thing I can think of doing right now. That's my favorite thing. Like if you ask me what I wanted to do right now, I want to go write a song and produce it. Like that's what I want to do. And the fact that I get to do it is just mind-blowing to me. So it never feels like I need motivation to do something. The motivation was just, I guess, the part that is motivation is like whatever spark was ignited within me when I was a child to love music. And so ever since then, I don't think I ever needed motivation to do it. I'm just like, yes, let's do it. This kind of goes back to the inspiration, but no, the topics this year were very, very straightforward, just because of the constraints. You know, I knew that every month needed to be related to whatever happens in that month, and some of them were easier than the others. Like February, Valentine's Day is in it, so I was like, oh perfect, it's gonna be like a love themed song. But then I had to come up with like a unique twist on a love song, and I was like, oh well, I'm single, let's talk about dating myself. Or October, super straightforward, Halloween happens, let's write a Halloween song. December, let's write a Christmas song. And so the topics came fairly easily. I think it would have been a lot harder if I didn't have a general direction for the year, because then it would be, you know, anything goes for any song. Whereas now it was very specified. Did I enjoy doing this? And then this goes back to the previous one. I enjoy doing any kind of songwriting, anything music related. I am just, you know, there's nothing I love more in this world. So yes, I just feel extremely fortunate that I get to actually do it. I have two, I think, favorite lyric lines from this year. One is from the November song and one is from the September song. And they're both bridges. So the September is, if life weighs an ocean wave, I'll stand on the shore and weigh panoramic point of view. It paints a different kind of view, and nothing's permanent but change. Waves never crash in the same place. There's really not much you can do but marvel at the residue. Because that spoke very personally to me, because I think this year was very transformative in the sense that I really learned the importance of embracing change. And I think it was almost self-stimulated, because I purposefully wrote in lyrics about accepting change in multiple of these songs, because they're almost like little messages that I left for myself, I think, through these songs. And this is one of them, just the fact that there's so many things in life that we have no control over, and the best thing we can do is marvel at it and take the most out of and see the beauty in everything, or at least something around us. And the other one is in the November song. How many timelines collide inside these walls? How many good times and tear-soaked phone calls? Decades of living, multiverse ballet, but the earth just keeps spinning, and tomorrow all of these seats will be filled with new faces. Anyway, I was watching House, the TV show, the other night, and there's this one patient that House has, and she says, life is just a series of rooms, and the people that we get stuck in those rooms with are what makes us who we are. And I was like, man, that is like such a concise way of saying what I was trying to say in the November song. But I just think there's something so miraculous, really, about the fact that our lives, all of our lives on Earth, intertwine in completely unexpected ways, in ways that most of the time we're not aware of. And yet, just because you shared a space or we're in the same place as another person, at the same time, your lives will forever be connected, intertwined by that one single moment in time, even though you'll never know who that person is. And so I think there's something really beautiful about the idea of sharing this world, this experience of your life with everyone that you come across with and that you encounter. I will not be making the 12 months songs next year anymore. That project is done. I love doing it. It was amazing. And the good thing about it is that every time January comes around, whatever year it is, the January song will be relevant again. Every time July comes around, the July song will be relevant again. So that was kind of also like the main purpose behind this year's song, is that something that don't really have an expiration date on them. I was very careful to not do any time specific or like 2022 era specific lyrics in the songs, so that they can still be relevant years from now. So no 12 months next year. Yes. I'm definitely going to be writing songs like Really Like You again. And this actually goes to our next question. So let me do that first. This is now, I guess, the official announcement for next year. I will continue to release one song per month, just because I've absolutely loved doing this year. And it has been, just from like a business perspective, it's been a great decision. I definitely want to keep that going. The title is Hopeless Romantic, and they are a series of songs about a hopeless romantic dreaming about the perfect love relationship. All the songs are inspired by ABBA mixed with like early 2010 pop, like Taylor Swift's 1989 and Katy Perry Teenage Dream. So they're very super, super pop, more upbeat than this year. I'm producing all of them, which is daunting, but also extremely exciting. And the first song will come out in January. We just finished the first song, finished the master for the first song this week, and it is called Hopeless Romantic. And I'm very, very excited. All right, I think I'm gonna show you guys a little bit of that song. But before I do that, thank you so much for all of your questions. And I'm just very excited for this community to continue to grow into next year. And I really, really do hope that the songs will be a good enough argument for you to stick around. I'm very proud of the stuff that I've written for next year. I actually have 8 songs already written. This is the first time that I'm actually throwing songs away and not using them, because I don't think they're strong enough. So I'm really trying to make this the best music that I've ever done. So I am just beyond excited to share it with you. And okay, all right, here is Hopeless Romantic. Just